some of those semi matches are coming up soon. But it looks like we're off to the races. Remember, we're inverted, folks, and Thalane starts us off in Link's house with a single rupee. Now, as far as the mode goes, what do we have today? Well, it's inverted, it's hard mode, and it's key sanity on top of it all.
That's quite the mouthful to go through here.
Absolutely, and definitely not a lot of room for error in this early game, as we do not have a way to defend ourselves, and most of the enemies in this overworld can kill us just by breathing on us.
So, as I always like to remind people, when you go to the Dark World early, the game does not adjust for you. It's going to be just as tough as it would be normally.
And absolutely, as we see, there's just the bug net there up there on the ledge. While meanwhile, our tier 1 tree pole or slash statue pole is just single hearts.
And of course, we've got our wonderful sprite artists have blessed us with a couple of different sprites here for our runners. On the left, the lane is using, I believe it's Abigail from Stardew Valley, and Kyong, it's Toho. Is that Marissa from Toho? I can't remember which one. I always get the characters mixed up. I'm sorry.
I admittedly don't know much about it, but as you see, Thalane taking a fairly standard opening and farming a few bombs here out of Skull Woods. Though this is, if you don't know if you guys are followers of the main Link to the Best Randomizer Discord, but they released yesterday a version 30.5, which has, which was updated a little, just some back end changes, and as well as another plethora of great sprites. Those sprite artists, shout out to all of you out there that are making these, because these look great. And there we have a early hookshot in Skull Woods.
Indeed, Kyong taking the Wallmaster teleport back to the start. Quick and easy way to get back to where you're going without losing any life.
And that's a really great find in this early game. It's not it can't do damage, but it will defend us from all of these things most of these things trying to kill us. As well as give us access to the stun prize at some point. Meanwhile, Kyong is going to go ahead and do the bomb farming strats here. This is a pretty standard opening in inverted mode, just going through, because there's guaranteed bomb pots here in this room in Skullwoods, and it's really easy to access. As well as the items in Skullwoods being relatively easy to access on their own. Just gonna dodge a few Gibdos here and there. Alright, and this is key sanity, but that's the small key we're always guaranteed to find at the moment, so you don't lock yourself in there. For now, anyway. Whisperings of the new competitive mode look to be very entertaining, to say the least.
Of course, we're seeing Kyong go back and open up some of these chests that we've seen Thalane do. So just kind of following each other's footsteps at the moment. Not uncommon, especially early on in a number of modes here. We'll see everyone kind of backtrack back and forth.
There's the map to Misery Mire found by Kyong, as well as 20 rupees here. So aside from that hookshot, not a whole lot to be found here in Skullwoods, but that hookshot feels real nice.
It's going to be very, very helpful here for the early part of our race, just because you'll have that extra little bit of safety. And Kyong now going into Hype Cave. Is it hype? Is it tripe?
We'll find out. Well, it starts us off with our first sword of the game, so that definitely feels good. Moving up to our next chest, we've got 20 rupees, the bow. We get a small key for the castle tower and lift upgrade. I'm going to call that very hype.
We'll give it a 10. Let's give it a 10. We haven't given a 10 out in a while, but you know, this particular seed, bow, sword, glove, that's great to find early. I'm gonna say that's hype.
That's a third of our light world puzzle that'll give us access to the master sword when we reach the light world, because this is an uncle assured sword seed, as well as giving us that lift upgrade and just finding the bow. We finally have a little bit of offense here in this seed.
I was gonna say, Uncle looking a little funny there, just hanging out in Hype Cave. He's normally hanging out by the castle, isn't he? Oh, big key to Skull Woods.
And there's there's our first big key of the match. Unfortunately, just a fetch quest, more than an actual progression. But there could be something in that big chest. We won't know for a while, because I doubt one of our runners are going to make their way back there quite yet. Alright, meanwhile, Kyong is going to do another fairly standard opening and go ahead and start off the archery game to farm a little bit of money to start out this seed. Looks like the lane is probably heading close to that direction as well.
Maybe approaching it from a different direction.
I think he'll start from the north and make his way south. We'll see if he decides to divulge the time into the game itself. Well, with that hype cave, I'm gonna go head on over in towards Thieves Town and the Village of Outcasts, and we found a small key from Misery Mire. Not the most helpful thing we're looking for at this moment.
Kyung's got enough though to go do dig game, so that's going to be the play, and the land opening up and going into front half of Thieves Town.
And on the right side of your screen, between 1 and 30 digs, I'll have Alec Baldwin cough in the prize. Only this time it's 4 rupees for 20 bucks, or 4 digs for 20. That's a net loss at the end of the day.
I think so, yeah.
Anyway,
And thalane has got a piece of heart out of Thieves Town. Chest number 2. Use the compass to Desert Palace.
On the bright side with Key Sanity, it does make these compasses slightly more useful. It'll let you know how many chests you've checked in the dungeon. But I mean, at this point, I don't think you really need it. But hey, any little bit helps. Slightly more useful. And Kyong is also going to make their way towards the Village of Outcasts, and Thieves Town. We'll see how quickly they dive Thieves Town. That's just $5 from that check. And the final chest that we can access here is the Blue Boomerang. So we have two ways to stun our enemies and a sword. Thalane just going to take his Azax hug to get the heck out of there, because we don't have the big key yet. Imagine Thalane's going to make their way south, check the bombable hut and the chess game. Got us $100 and 10 sticks. So we now have a full quiver to use that bow.
That $100 is gonna be nice for thalane, because won't have to spend the time doing the shooting game if it doesn't want to. Just will be able to go straight to do the digging game. Unfortunately, we already know what's in there. Let's see what's in the brewery here. The hammer! Oh! Hello!
Well, we are now 2/3 of our way into the light world with that lift and a hammer. The only question is, where's the moon pearl? And right now, we're kind of running out of locations, but with that lift upgrade, we can make our way into the mountain, though it is a sequence break without the lamp. Trying to take stock of what locations we have left to check after this. Oh, actually, with that hammer, that opened up a bevy of new locations around the Palace of Darkness. So I'd imagine that Thalane is going to make their way over toward the pod area fairly soon. Looks like this is Thalane's time to route in old Stumpy. And it looks like he is going to stop in and enjoy some time with the Archer game. I only wish I could ever get as excited for anything that the Archer game vendor is as excited for you landing those targets. He's really given that drum a what for.
Sure is. And I think the reason Thalane's doing this, I was going to say probably going to bail out right after this, because wants to get that money for Kiki, probably thinking going into Palace of Darkness now.
Yeah, it seems to be the best play. Meanwhile, Kyong has found their hammer, and they're going to start their walk toward the pod area. So with this, we do have access to, well, we can't, we have one chest in the Palace of Darkness that we can access, as well as the pyramid and our old friend, the catfish. Oh yes, and with the bow that we have, thank you Tracker Demensive for keeping me in check, that does give us access to the right side. So that it bumps us up to 3 checks. So that's 3 checks here and 2 in the overworld. Something's going to give us a bit of progression to go somewhere else. Or perhaps some pod small keys to dive deeper, as there are 6 of them out there somewhere in the world. Speaking of those overworld locations, Thalane is already onto the Pyramid of Power. And on the ledge today, we have the lamp.
Ooh, that will actually be kind of useful.
However, that just put Aghanim into play.
That's not what we want to find out, unfortunately. Just like, yeah, it's useful to get in the Palace of Darkness. Oh, wait, I can play. Ooh, that's not good.
And with that, it gave us a logical access to the mountain and the Aghanim play. And our first check here is 10 sticks for Kyong92 in the Palace of Darkness. Thalane is making their way over there now. Unfortunately, there would be a lot of there would be a lot more checks here, but we're playing Key Sanity, so without those pod small keys, we're not going to get the most far. Though it did occur to me that there is more chests available. So we get our first hint tile, and we find out there's cash in Turtle Rock. With the hammer that we have access to, that can get us to the harmless Hellway, or the chest before the Hellway, and the 2 chests in the Dark Room that we do have logical access to because Thalane found the lamp on top of the Pyramid of Power. Yes, for those asking in chat, how do we get Abigail from Stardew Valley? Well, yesterday, the developers released version 30.5, which the main thing it added was a bunch more sprites that the talented sprite artists have given us. As we see 5 rupees from this first Bollock check in Palace Darkness, and the second check is the blue mail. Not progression, but something you're not going to say no to. Because that's the last mail upgrade that we're going to see.
It's one of the things to keep in mind here, of course, is hard mode is going to reduce some of the safeties, I guess you could say, that we would have in the normal version of the game.
Yes, absolutely. As you remember, there is a maximum health of 14 containers. There are six full containers and 20 pieces out in the pool. Both males are out there, but we're only going as far as blue. All 4 swords there, but tempered is the most. No riot shield for us today. No half magic, and the potions are only going to give a half magic refill and 7 heart refill. So less safeties for us out there today.
And also, that's why it's hard mode.
And there we see the Quake Medallion down in the bottom of the arena there for Kyong. So not a whole lot given to us. So Kyong is now going to make their way over to the Pyramid of Power and to Catfish, and think that maybe we're looking at an Aghanim seed at this point.
Yep,
As
sure
this
could
pod
be.
plate is nothing.
And the one thing I think is keeping us from it being a sure Aghanim scenario, Punchy, is we're still looking for that second castle tower key. We got one early, which is kind of like, maybe, but you get the second one early, and you're probably thinking, yeah, the game's telling me to go there.
But with the small key it gave us, it did give us access to the 2 items in Aga Tower.
Right.
So there are items to be found there.
Right, and that could indeed lead somewhere.
So it may not be a full-on kill Aga, but Aghanim's Tower is what's calling for a location.
Right, of course, to get there, we got to get that Moon Pearl first.
Oh, actually, we can walk straight up to it. We're playing an inverted mode, so
that's right.
All we have to do is make our way through the dark old man cave, which it looks like Thalane is doing right now.
Oh, yep. Or not.
Kyong is going to be making their way over to Catfish. I think Thalane is going in to check that Skullwood's big chest fetch quest that we got earlier. And then we'll likely make its way over the mountain afterward. And here we are. Catfish gives us a small key, and what's it to? That's a small key to pod. That just opened up more checks. I am really not the most familiar with the how many checks that one single key gives us access to with the bow. All right, looks like both of our runners are just about to high five as they make their way up to Death Mountain. But I think Kyong is going to do the same thing and check that Skullwood's big chest first. Have to watch out for those murder dactyls. But I don't think we've checked the. I don't think we've killed anything stunned yet, and see what the randomized stun prize is today. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of fun new sprites out there to give this a shot. So head over to ALTTPR.com and roll yourself a seed and try out something new. I'm excited for the Batman sprite myself.
Oh man, this Batman sprite. I really need to go over and take a look at the sprite list and see what's new.
Yeah, I scanned through that a little bit this morning, and a lot of stuff I didn't know, but a lot of stuff that was like, oh, cool. I mean, Team Awesome's Yoshi will be happy to know that the Yoshi sprite was now available.
Very nice.
I did not, for you asking, I did not see a Psyduck sprite, unfortunately. But there are a few other Pokemon available. I know there's a Squirtle and a Shuppet. Thank you to our tracker for throwing up that sprite preview for us. There's a lot of fun stuff out there now. Probably one of my new favorite meme sprites is the Hint Tile sprite.
Of course.
As we get some drugs from the old man in exchange for bringing him back down the mountain. Now, what I find the mushroom is not an item you like to see in inverted. It's probably the worst location in inverted mode. Because it's something you absolutely have to walk for. Meanwhile, Thalane is doing some bunny walking? I'm not sure what the bunny sprite here is supposed to be.
For Thalane?
Yeah, I've only played about an hour.
It's a Junimo from Stardew Valley.
I've only played it for about an hour, so...
Okay, you probably haven't gotten that far yet.
And the Palace of Darkness key is held by someone friendly. Not the most helpful hint you're looking for. Well, I definitely know what Faraime's sprite is on the right-hand side. Alright, so with that, it looks like Thalane is going to make the dive into Aga Tower and see what 2 items are in here. It was amusing to see a mushroom holding up a mushroom. And here we are, folks. Get your guesses in. Oh, wait, that's Ganon. That's not Ganon's Tower. That's Aga Tower. But first, we're going to go past the, play everyone's favorite game, Dodge the Lionels to get to Super Bunny Cave.
Such a good game.
Thankfully, that blue mail makes it a little bit less stressful. We also have access to Hookshot Cave here, so quite a bevy of checks available. And the first check in Super Bunny Cave is a piece of heart, followed by a heart container. You're definitely not saying no to either of those in hard mode, or inverted. So far we have not made our way in toward anywhere close to a boss fight yet, because we're still looking for a whole lot of keys. Looks like Thalane is going to go walk on over and see what it is to open up the front door of Turtle Rock. I don't know how much you guys have played Inverted, but routing the mountain and Turtle Rock in general is quite a bit more complicated than it once was. Alright, here we go. 4 checks here in Hookshot Cave. What do we got here? Got ourselves with a big key to Desert Palace, but we are going to have to find the book, because that's the only way into Desert. There's the magic mirror, the Master Sword,
Ooh.
and a compass. Had to weigh out the bevy of items there, but that mirror is a really nice find in Inverted mode.
Absolutely is. I think that means, too, we're probably going to see both runners get Tempered Sword out of this, since it's Uncle Assured we haven't seen Uncle yet. We know it's there.
We just have to make our way there, and we're still a moon pearl away from making it there, or an Aghanim kill. But we're still a small key away from that. Looks like Thalane is going to head into Aga Tower and see what 2 items are in here. because we have one of the two keys. Perhaps we'll see a vanilla key that'll throw us into the light world.
Right. I always forget, like, right at the start that, oh yeah, they swapped Aga Tower and Ganon's Tower in that in inverted now.
And what do you know?
Oh,
Looks like we have ourselves an Aga seed, folks, because we just
Yep.
got our second castle tower key.
apologies to everybody for me saying there's no way that could possibly happen, and then the immediate first thing you find is the other key. Yeah, that was.
And there's the map.
I should have expected that.
So at this point, that does give us access to the light world, and with the magic mirror, there's a lot of things that we can do now. I mean, the bunny on its own can talk to NPCs, pick up freestanding items, read tablets and the pedestal, and can even pull the pedestal. Interestingly enough.
Yeah, a lot of stuff we can do even without the Moon Pearl. So we'll probably see them try to check off as many of those as they possibly can get to right now, just for, you know, obviously the seed's telling us we got to go to the light world without the Moon Pearl, and just to kind of get that squared away.
Yeah, we're definitely looking at some light world exploration as we find out that some cash requires the book. So one of the two tablets has money on that. We know that. But we are going to have to find that book as we are playing all dungeons, and the only way to get into the Desert Palace right now is the Book of Dora, as we're playing inverted. What I do like here is it opens up a lot. With the magic mirror it gives us access to quite a few locations in the dark world, via the mirror, as well as gives us access to a lot of potential Super Bunny plays. And thalane forgetting that this is hard mode, that blue boomerang is not going to stun. So I really like what options this gives us to us. All right, chat, we have ourselves Aga 1. How many blue balls do you think we're going to get? We'll start with you, Nihon.
You know, Bungie, I think probably looking at, how many do I want to say here? 6? 6 sounds about right.
I'm going to go with a good 4. We'll see what we get here.
I think 6 with it being a 3 rounds, probably about it.
Well, so far we're at 0.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be wrong now unless we start getting a whole bunch of them.
Here we go.
Okay, there's one.
2 reflectives. All right, that's the 3rd reflective shot here. In comes our lightning phase. As a reminder, the first fight is RNG locked between the 2 runners, so they will see the same cycles.
Yes.
And we're looking at potential for just 1 here, depending on what this cycle does. Just that, a single blue ball. A nice quick Aga 1 fight.
It's almost a dream fight.
And here we are in the light world. And I think we're gonna go... Thalane, you can go get Tempered Sword right now. It looks like instead he's gonna route his way. Oh boy, that was close. Welcome to the nightmare that is the post-Aga light world.
I was gonna say, nice little trick there, just getting the resets on the enemies there. That's for the most part why I think Thalane's doing that, just to get the guards to reset to their default positions.
So it looks like Thalane is heading down toward the south end of the light world, probably heading over to the mire area, because we now have access to the mire shed as a potential for item locations. As well as, I mean, we can maybe... I think we may even be pointed towards going into Misery Mire. A good use of the mirror to not get eaten by that red guard. It looks like Kyong is going for a bit of a sequence break now. They're going to take the death here inside the castle tower so they can be turned into Link for the escape sequence.
Very, very interesting. Thalane having to use those.
Yeah.
Having to use those frames there just to avoid the death bird.
I mean, this is a fairly common play I see in Inverted. Just to go ahead and just knock out the escape sequence while you can. You know, Thalane putting on a bit of a dodging clinic here. He just tries to make his way to the mire shed as they find a Ganon's Tower small key in the escape sequence for Kyong. It's not uncommon for the use of this glitch where if you die as a bunny inside a dungeon, you respawn as Link, especially in the escape sequence. They're not going to find what they're looking for, but some potential progression is definitely on the table there for Kyong. As we see that Thalane has just found a whole bunch of money in the mire shed. And I do believe we can walk into Misery Mire right now, so this is some in-logic checks here to be seen. The Moonbrill could definitely be here with the hookshot that we have in hand. And Misery Mire is a little more palatable in Key Sanity just because there's more checks available. Instead of just being all keys. Right, and Kyong is taking down the ball and chain guard. And thankfully, Thalane finds himself a heart.
Probably gets that beeping to stop too. This is going to be very interesting to go in here on 4 hearts, even with the blue mail, because you've got what it takes with the bow to get to Vitreous, defeat Vitreous if you can get to him, but the problem is you don't have the Canis Maria, so you can't get to Vitreous.
Not only that, but we're lacking the big key to open the door.
Right, that's just as important, so...
Well, Kyong is making their way into the dark cross room, finding a compass. And Thalane has found a small key to Pod. We're getting closer and closer to being able to go deeper into that dungeon. Right, with that, Kyong is out of the castle. Also forgetting that he could definitely pick up that Uncle Assured sword if he wanted to. But at this point, he's probably waiting till he has the Moon Pearl so he can get the chest out of the way as well. Unless he wanted to set up some Super Bunny shenanigans with the mirror. And there we have a heart container, and now we're going to go ahead and take care of the cutscene chest down here, another potential 4 items. Gonna have to do this puzzle the intended way, as we find another Pod small key via buying the bottle vendor. That's more of the Palace of Darkness we can do now. So it looks like the seed is telling us we should be going back to Pod.
Powder up on the library bookshelf there. Kyong's gonna go ahead and... Looks like trigger... No, I didn't quite get it. Trying to get it set up so that it could get the smith here. Now he's got it.
That's one of the more obnoxious places to try to get that mirror. So this is another in-logic play. Having a bunny walk over with the smiths because you can talk to NPCs. Meanwhile, we find out that there is just some love in the purple chest. Alright, we'll see what kind of dwarven craftsman we have today, and we have just a compass maker. Well, see, there's just 3 bombs after hammer pegging. Thalane having to be more careful than he's typically used to in this room. Let's ask you know, give a rundown. We are in all dungeons inverted Uncle Assured hard mode key sanity. Quite a bit of difficulty, and now Kyong is going to spend the time to bring the purple chest home, which we know on the lane side is just a waste of time, and that's the 4th pod small key we found. It looks like this seed definitely wants us to go to pod.
Unfortunately, Kyong taking the purple chest. We know it's in there because we found the hint. Thalane found the hint, I guess I should say, and we know what it is, but Kyong's about to get a not-so-awesome surprise walking all the way back there with that chest.
We always see there's a small key here in K45. With that mirror pull, I think Kyong is going to go try to super money, and I think he got it there. Yep. As that's the 5th pod small key we've found already. But that one's locked behind the moon pearl by logic. So we're at this point, we can, when we find the big key for pod, we'll be able to take care of the Helmasaur King. It's interesting to see just how many pod small keys we have earlier to find out that Thieves Town and pod are the 5-6 crystals via the vendor there. As Thalane picks up his pod small key. Kyong bringing the purple chest home for a hard container, which, I mean, not the worst thing ever, as we'll get the check on Sick Kid here for by Thalane, getting a red potion. Only gonna give 7 hearts, but still, any little bit of safety is nice. As we're getting more Super Bunny shenanigans from Kyong to find 10 sticks here in the dam. Alright, Thalane picking up his Jeremiah as we see the ice rod underneath the dam water. It's an item we're definitely going to need to take care of Turtle Rock at some point later in this seed. Thalane taking his Smithhound, Kyong trying to dodge his way to the desert like Thalane did, and we'll get those checks in Meyer done. And we'll have just the bevy of pod keys. It looks like we're going to head back to Palace of Darkness sooner rather than later. So at this point, Nihon, with those pod small keys and what else we have to do, what beyond the Palace of Darkness that we've been given so many keys for, what else is out there for us to check? What's jumping? There's not a whole lot jumping out to me at the moment. The Palace of Darkness is definitely what's screaming as places we need to check. Thalane's heading back to the Dark Chapel. We'll see where they choose to go. While Kyong is going to go ahead and open up Misery Mire and dive inside. Yeah, I think Thalane is going to head to pod via the Kern jump by the look of it.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be the Kern jump, which we've been seeing a lot more of this lately, not just in inverted mode particularly, but in a lot of modes I've been seeing a lot of people using the Kern jump as a way to very quickly get around some of the
curious play, because I mean it's not required for him to get over here, but it does will give him the ability to turn in the mushroom, I think.
That it should. Maybe also be thinking getting
Catfish.
Catfish taken care of right now, yeah.
I'm trying to think of where else they could be heading to. I mean, with that mirror, it does open up parts of Turtle Rock. Actually, not really, because we need to be in the light world first. We really need to find that moon pearl to get much of anywhere. But with that pod small key, I think that just about nails that Thalane should probably be heading to pod. Oh, at the start at Link's house, I feel that thinking that's what's on the table. While Kyong is going to go ahead and wait for his cutscene. Now we are playing a hard mode inverted key sanity for us. And Thalane is making his way over to pod.
Yeah, with 4 keys this early on, you're probably thinking pod's got to be the play. It's really the only hard option you have right now that you can get into and do a lot of progress in.
Now, with all the keys we have, we can check everything except the big chest and the Helmosaur King if we do it correctly. We would then need the 5th key to get to Helmosaur King, but we know where that's sitting as it's in Cave 45.
Right.
Alright, and we will see what is in the Vanilla Big Key location. So it looks like, judging out this, the logic of the seed, as of right now, the Aggo play that we had to do for the goal, but also at this point gave us access to the light, was just our access to more pod small keys.
I love that. It's like, hey, this thing, very important thing, guess what this gets you access to? More small keys.
It's an interesting little, actually, I think it's a really interesting wrinkle to the key sanity logic.
Yep,
I have not seen a seed play out like this, where something like Aga was only required just to give you access to more keys, as opposed to just hard progression. This isn't one of them. That's just a map. So 3 checks on this side, as well as hammer yumping into the other. And there's our 4th sword. So it looks like we're not going to visit Uncle at all. And there's the moon pearl.
ooh, there it is. Well, Uncle's just gonna be waiting for you to show up, and you'll never be there. And he'll just be kind of like, "I got a thing to give you. I can't die till I give you this thing. Why am I not dead yet?"
I feel fine. I feel happy. All right, and there's the hammer yunk by Thalane. Meanwhile, Kyong is heading over to Sahasrara, hopefully, if the Red Guards don't maul him before then. There's the small key to the Tower of Hera, so that gives us access to the Hera basement chest. Just find out the green pendant is Misery Mire. Our other Stark chest is another Ganon's Tower small key, so with that, Thalane has access to the Light World, and is probably heading for Kakariko soon. Curious that Kyong has elected to head this direction. I'll imagine this is going to be a visit to the Palace of Darkness. Just interesting to choose to route it via the Light World instead of the Dark. Now, Thalane is going to go ahead and check the one of the vanilla lamp locations. We'll, won't have to leave our. Unfortunately, our uncles just have to sit there and bleed for a while. Well, there's our first Turtle Rock small key. I'm gonna need to find a couple more of those before we get much far, and of course the Cane of Samaria and the big key, because here we are 40 minutes in, and we only have two big keys by the looks of our tracker.
Yeah, I think we
I missed
just
the Desert Palace key myself.
Yeah, I think we got Desert Palace and Skull Woods, and that's about it. So kind of really dry on the big keys.
And why did Thalane not check Uncle? Well, it was an Uncle assured sword, but since Thalane is already untempered and we're playing hard mode, there's no reason to go there. There's the GT small key for Thalane. Meanwhile, Kyong is going to make their way back toward the Moon Pearl and the Dark Chests. In the meantime, we're going to make our way back. Through the escape sequence, which Kyong decided to sequence break and did not net a whole lot for the trouble. Good use of the Thalane making good use of that blue boomerang to expedite some processes, though with this being hard mode, it's not going to do any stunning, as he forgot a while ago. So I was asking in chat, the ice rod was found underneath the dam, which Kyong found via sequence breaking the by super bunnying to pull the lever. Because Kyong just picked up their moon pearls, we find our only assured big key of the steed and 300 bucks in Zelda's chest. Looks like Thalane is going to go ahead through the escape sequence while Kyong pulls off the hammer jump, pulls the two not so great items out of the dark maze, and then that's decide where they're going to go next, because they've already done the escape, which Thalane's doing now. Tower of Hera small key not to be denied, as that gives us access to one slow check. And with that, Kyong92 is out of pod. That Moon Pearl being the big key. Now, just to give us a rundown of where the logic pointed us. In the start of the sea, there wasn't a whole lot to be found. We found ourselves a sword, a lamp, a hammer, the hook shot, a glove, and then we were left with, well, what do we do? We had one Castle Tower small key. First chest was vanilla Castle Tower small key, so we needed that to do the Aga play, just to drop us in the light world, and then to find more pod small keys to go back to pod and get the Moon Pearl. That's some logic chain.
Yeah, it's definitely a kind of a back and forth bit of logic here, and we really don't have a strong point where to go to next now. We just don't have the items that are kind of indicating one way or the other that, you know, you gotta go here, you gotta get this thing, do it right now. You know, it's obviously within logic. Just nothing really. As we're going to see Thalane go ahead and check, it looks like, yeah, it's going to go ahead and check Graveyard Ledge. Nothing that's really screaming one direction or the other, and we don't really have...
Hello.
Oh, Cane of Samaria. Well, that's going to change that.
Well, that's that opens up some of Turtle Rock. That's about it on its own. But what we do have before then is a lot of checks in the overworld. As now we can go clear through Kakariko Village, we can go South Shore, Ice Rod Cave, there's a whole lot of items available to us now. As we find the Arrow of Destiny there, and a Ice Palace small key.
Yeah, so finding that big key for Misery Mire is going to be very important now to being able to complete that dungeon, because we've got everything we need for it. We just need to get the big key to get access to Vitreous.
At this point, there's not a dungeon we can complete yet, while Kyong is going to go ahead and clear through Eastern, hoping to find an item. Alright, with that, we are out of the Sanctuary, and it looks like we're probably going to get a Kakariko play and Lost Woods play. And while Kyong is making their way through the final check here of Eastern Palace to find the small key to Misery Mire. Not helpful on its own, Eastern Palace is a bust. It looks like Thalane is going to go ahead and see what is on the Lumberjack Ledge, since they have already killed Aghanim, but don't have the boots to open up the tree yet, as there's a surprise green guard there.
Yeah, you might as well do it. Just we'll give it a shot here. Yeah, it looks like it was a compass of some sort. Flippers?
That was Flippers?
Ooh. No, Flippers in Sahasrala's back room.
Oh, Saha's closet coming up with the water toes. That gives us access to the Flipper locked locations, as well as, I believe that's swamp access as well. So now we finally have a dungeon that we can clear. At least as far as defeating the boss. Though we cannot open the big chest.
Great.
But they need the small key before they go any further than the first check.
Absolutely. And just assuming the way the seed's been playing, there's going to be an item in that big chest, so we're going to need the big key anyways.
Or, of course, if you really want to be rude, you could be looking for a vanilla small key in Swamp Palace. Well, Kyong is going to make their way along the south shore, and Thalane is making their way through Kakariko Village. If you haven't given these guys a follow yet, I highly suggest you do so. They are some of the very best this community has to offer, and they deserve your follow. As we find 50 bucks, the big key to Thieves Town, the flute, which isn't that great on its own, Uncle Bombs. I would not be surprised here to see Thalane at some point just mirror into Thieves Town and finish that dungeon. As I got a small key for Ganon's Tower on the right side for Kyong, and not a whole lot else. However, I fear that there is not a more convenient location to pull the flute in this mode than in Kakariko Village, because you have to activate it in the light world, but it only works in the dark. You know, Kyong92 is going to take a long swim to a cold cave for once.
Just a piece of heart showing up in the swamp right now. Not swamp, but the well.
More hearts. Map. And a Skullwood small key. The less useful keys out there. So at this point, Thalane's going to go ahead and serenade their swag duck. And Kyong is going to make their way through the Ice Rod Cave. It's not a whole lot. They do have access to the Hylia Island, as well as the Hobo Check yet. We are a Bombos or Fire Rod away from access to Ice Palace, but Kyong has decided to use that not often used Whirlpool and made their way over to Kakariko. And let's see, what are those chickens guarding today? We'll get ourselves a GT small key. We've got lots of small keys for Ganon's Tower at this point, so a lot of the basement will be open to us, potentially. We will see if we even need to go into that basement. $5 in the back of brewery as Kyong has picked up their Cane of Samaria. Alright, so Lane heading south, gonna grab that small key out of the race game, which we don't know what it is quite yet. And Kyong dropping into the back of Escape. That post-Aga Light World is not playing around. Right, in the meantime, Blaine now realizing that he does have to do the race game will do so. We'll see what that small key opens up, if anything. It could just be another small Skullwoods key. Guards in the race game.
Yep. Is it trash? Is Monkey Turtle Rock probably not trash?
No, we're definitely gonna need those. Well, maybe need those because it's inverted, and routing Turtle Rock is a nightmare. Alright, well, thalane is going to head to K45, pick up their 5th pod small key. And Kyong about to find out that there's not a whole lot on Lumberjack Ledge. I think at this point that having a second TR small key is more so a convenience item than a requirement. With just the way you route all of the entrances to Turtle Rock. And thalane is going to go ahead and open up the dam and pick up their ice rod. As Kyong is running the recursive checks through the Lost Woods. As we see, just a progressive shield growing in its natural habitat, so Kyong gives no cares. We are capped at fire shield, but we're probably not going to see any of those unless they pop up in chests.
Yep.
Those asking in chat, what's our goal here? We need to defeat all the dungeons. We started in inverted mode, and then we can defeat Ganon. Or kill Ganon, I should say. And what are we playing here? And what are we playing for today? This is technically Game 4 of the series between Fryman doing an interview and Team Awesome. Game 3 will be happening a couple hours from now on the channel yet to be decided. So since games 1 and 2 were split 1 and 1, the league organizers allowed Game 4 to be played before Game 3 because it was guaranteed to have been played or have to be played. And this is the finals of the Death Mountain. This is the finals of the Death Mountain division. The winner of this series will be playing the winner between the Titans Mitts and Team 4K 4th and Forehead in the Link to the Past Randomizer League finals. And this is going to be, it looks to be tightly contested to the end of this. And seeing that Kyong and thalane have already played their first race, they are allowed to this is game form. We get that a long walk for a tin tile we don't normally check, and we get told there's cash behind bombs. Thank you, game. Meanwhile, Kyong is serenading their swag duck, and thalane is heading to the cold cave to get 20 bucks. I have to say, that was a long walk for quite the hint.
Well, those hints are very important.
And then meanwhile, it looks like thalane is starting a walk down the thing. It looks like he's going for a fake flipper, despite the fact that the real flippers are just a couple screens away from where he is right now.
Right, but he hasn't been over to Eastern Palace. Doesn't know that yet.
And he does have money for Zora.
Could certainly be that case, yeah. Just take a dip into here, do the Zora checks, and then realize later on that you didn't have to do all that work. And sick kid trades bottle for bottle. So that's pretty nice.
So he's the one that's sick, but he's giving away medicine?
Right, yeah. I got this extra medicine. Maybe you could use it.
It's the wrong kind.
I needed eardrops. My mom didn't buy me the right stuff.
Meanwhile, Kyong looks to be setting up with that King Samaria. We've got ourselves some fake powder action. Unfortunately, though, Thalane does get sniped by that Octorok, and you die if you're fake flippered and get hit. On the right side of your screen, this isn't even real powder. How dare you? Today I curse thee with a big key to Ganon's tower. Ha 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 ha! There's the big key of There's the big key of Evil's Bane found by Kyong. So that magic powder is technically required.
Well, how about that? So boots are also required, that means, to get to the magic powder.
Yes, the magic powder is on top of the library here. So what I do find interesting is if the mushroom turn-in is something as well. If those boots are deep, deep, deep hidden, that could be rough. But we will see. Meanwhile, Thalane is going to head in and talk to the Kakariko village elder. They can find out that the green pendant is Misery Mire, and also that the water toes are back here.
And all that hard work with the fake flipper and whatnot. Well, it wasn't really that hard, but still, didn't have to do all.
I mean, it was hard. He got sniped by an Octorok. Going up the ladder to try to get here. It looks like Thalane is going to go ahead and make that dive into Eastern Palace, and we'll find not a whole lot for the troubles. Now, Kyong is going to go ahead and pick up the chest outside of Uncle. And there's Turtorok, small key. So where is Kyong going to head to next with their current equipment? The thing that's pointing, that's kind of screaming at me is, we have, let's see, can't really get to much on Light World Death Mountain yet. Actually, I think we can if we just jump down from the Turtorok. No, I think we need Titan's Mitts for that, I think. It's been a while. Looks like Kyong is going to go for the mushroom turn-in. Probably the worst location in Inverted, I would say. As there's no quick way to get here anymore. I imagine Kyong may pick up a potion if he feels so inclined. If we get that, it's a small key, and that sucks.
It does.
Now, if Thalane doesn't use the fake powder and burns that mushroom first, it may take him a while to get to that GT small key on big key on Magic Bath. Well, it just depends on where are those boots hidden, which we now are required for at least to get the Ganon's Tower big key. Hint tile tells us that sweet corn on pizza is the thing you can do. I hear it's very popular in Korea. And now Kyong making our first visit to the Zora area. See what's hanging out in the waterfall fairy location. 3 bombs and 3 bombs. Yes, the mushroom was turned in, and it was a key. The key to Hyrule Castle. Alright, and there's a compass on the Zora ledge, so Flipper's just gonna get you through here a little bit faster, not required for an item. Thalane getting the bad news that Eastern Palace has bunk. And on the right side of your screen, we'll see what the king of all scams is holding on to today. Doesn't feel like the worst plane in Key Sanity with so much more available. And we get a big key for the trouble. So that's the big key to Tower of Hera. And that's thank you, Zora, for having something useful for once. Meanwhile, Thalane, with their 5th key, is going to go back here to the harmless Hellway chest that they abandoned earlier, only to find out there's nothing really of note there. And I think this is a bomb jump I have never seen before. What even is this game?
There's always new tech being uncovered, and It's kind of like a hammer jump, except across that small gap. It's not really used very much because of not really going that way very often.
I think this may be the only use case for that bomb jump he just did.
Probably.
Well, there we have a map check there. Found out there is a crystal in Swamp and pendant in Skull Woods were the two new pieces of information we had.
Yep. Well, welcome to 1 hour into the seed, everybody. This is the fun of inverted key sanity hard mode. We don't have any dungeons completed. We've only been up the castle tower.
Meanwhile, Kyong is over in the Paradox Cave. Starting us off with 10 sticks, and there's the boots for Kyong. We're going fast. And that does put the Ganon Tower big key into logic. Looks like Thalane is making their way toward the mushroom turn-in. So with the boots being readily available, this doesn't feel quite as bad for wasting their mushroom. Since they do know where the magic powder is in the library ledge, and there's just a whole lot of nothing on the rest of Paradox Cave. And Thalane is going to pick up a blue potion here. Likely to head over to Zora, as Kyong, unfortunately, slightly misses that bomb jump across. And just kind of give a rundown of what got us to this point. We made our way through the Dark World locations and found Hammer, the first glove, the hook shot, and not a whole lot else. And a sword, and a lamp, which gave us access to Aga, and a single castle tower small key. We go through what checks we have in Pod, there's not a whole lot. So we head over to the castle tower, find a vanilla key, which gives us access to the light world, only to just then access only giving us access to more small keys, which then give us access to the Maroon Pearl in the basement of Pod, as Kyong finds silver arrows and heads into the Tower of Hera. So just kind of a not fun, or I would say inconvenient opening to this seed.
Definitely. Gonna skip the heart piece. Probably not worth it to go ahead and flip the switch like that again just for one heart. Candace Maria is above the pose, which both runners know that right now. There's the fire rod.
Hello, more completion. As that gives us access to taking care of Skull Woods, as well as with the other items in our inventory. Who wants to go to Ice Palace? Now fully in logic.
Well, we have to. I would normally say not me, but Bungie, we have to because this is all dungeons, so everyone's going to be required to go inside as Kyong takes a coffee break here in the basement of Tower of Hera. Thalane getting on that bird. Looks like he's heading up to probably Tower of Hera as well.
I'd say that would definitely be the play here. It's a dungeon complete, and there's just so many checks available here with the Paradox Cave as well. The Fire Rod being a huge find there, because that gives us access to two clearable dungeons, though it does leave us the chance for a fetch quest, as we don't know where the... where that ice rod, where the big key for Ice Palace is, or what is in that big chest, which now becomes another not fun fetch quest. Meanwhile, Kyong is making their way further up the Tower of Hera. With that fire rod, it did give us access to Skull Woods, Ice Palace, and not a whole much, and would give us access to a couple checks in Turtle Rock if we find the Ether Medallion open the front door. As we see a big key for Misery Mire. So now Misery Mire is claimable, as we find out that the big key of Evil's Bane is held by someone friendly is a guaranteed hint, but we've already found it. Thanks, game. Alright, Thalane getting their news that there's just a lot of compasses and crap on this side of Paradox. Nice dash by the Pixel there by Kyong to make their way up to Moldorm. Oops. Almost gets thrown there. Moldorm not cooperating. And there we go, the slash and the spin. Kyong showing Moldorm a piece of their mind as we get the kill to find out that we get 3 blueberries and, more importantly, our first crystal of the match.
You're very welcome to see that, I think.
And Thalane is making their way into Mimic Cave, a check we have not yet seen. And that's just 50 bucks. So out of the Tower of Hera, they give us access to the Misery Mire, as well as via the Fire Rod, Skull Woods, and Ice Palace. So many checks available now. Now Kyong is going to make their way through Spiral Cave, and Thalane is making use of their boots to gain access to a few things here in Turtle Rock. Nice use of that bonk.
Yeah, it's a nice bonk. We're seeing Kyong through in the opposite direction. Yep, gonna skip the bonk, but actually heading, looks like, to the same place.
I'm gonna go ahead and use that small key. I think at this point the logic kind of points you in that direction, so we're gonna go running around through the Turtle Rock here. And these guys are some great runners. Give them a follow if you have the chance. I'm sure they would appreciate it.
Oh, I absolutely would. Get to see some very top quality execution between these two, so definitely give them both a follow.
And a reminder where we are. This is the Link to the Past Randomizer League Death Mountain Division Finals. If you haven't checked out the ALTTPR you can find out more information about these runners and their teams. There's a really cool micro interview with the playoff teams. So we find another TR small key here. So with that opened up more of the dungeon. At this point, the logic would allow us to get 2 laser bridge.
It will be interesting to see
directly.
Yeah, if anybody goes for laser bridge.
I mean, at that point, there's 4 items there. I wouldn't see why you would not want to. Especially since you can just walk directly to it with the mirror.
So the advantage here for Kyong is that got right side open, but Thalane has not been into Tower of Hera to get that fire rod yet, so won't be able to open it up.
We'll see if there's anything even in here. What is in these 2 chests? We will find out. Well, Thalane is going to do the play for laser bridge. Technically out of logic, since we don't have any invulnerability, as we find the Ether Medallion, not the most useful, because we've already unlocked what's behind it.
Great.
We have a cash bridge here. What even is this? 600 rupees from 2 checks. And we got ourselves the big Ketapod.
Well, that opens that back up.
Who wants to visit Pod for the 4th time?
I do. Ooh, a Book of Medora in
that's big.
Spiral Cave.
With that, we could now clear Desert Palace, at least we can kill the boss. We don't have access to the chests on the right side, which could potentially have items. So with this Death Mountain play, suddenly, after going an hour without a dungeon clear, we can clear quite a few. There's the Titan's Mitts for Thalane. Admittedly, they don't open up. They're not as pivotal in inverted as they are in the regular modes, as we've already kind of circumvented most of the ways that Titans can be massively useful. However, that does give us access to the King's Tomb, which is the only location that is 100% Mitts locked in inverted. Kyong is going to pray to the gods of the Ether Tablet and find for their troubles 10 sticks. So now we know via the hints that the Bombos Tablet just has money. Should be a lot of fun to see. Meanwhile, it looks like Thalane is going to make their way into the Tower of Hera, pick up their Fire Rod, and grab their silver arrows from Spectacle Rock. Meanwhile, Kyong is going to go ahead and route around more of Turtle Rock because Turtle Rock routing is fun, right?
Oh, of course it is. Now, Kyong's going to go back through the back half here, get all the items that we saw Thalane already get.
Just watching all of these trips up and down the mountain, I just can't help but think of that mountain climber song that was on like The Price of Right for that one game when I was a kid.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if I want to make anyone's ears bleed by performing it for you.
Oh no, we don't need. I don't think we need that Bungie. They can get. If you're not sure what we're talking about, just think yodeling and just think that.
Yes.
Like, and looping forever.
That sounds to be about right there, chat. That mountain climber song. And I don't even know if they still play that pricing game. I'd be curious to see. Meanwhile, back on topic, there's the Titansmiths for Kyong. Right now, for those listening in chat, is anyone with a lead? Not really. Right now, both runners are checking things the other guy has already done. At this point, we've stayed, and despite slight divergences, we've stayed pretty, we're just tit for tat. You're going one place, I'm going one, and then we're going to trade places and go where the other guy's been. Magic Boomerang in the basement of Hera. That's completely junk at this point, unless you want to use it to grab items. So really, I mean, there really isn't something that one runner's done that the other one has not. The only real difference is that Thalane used the mushroom Kyong used the mushroom to fake powder the Ganon's Tower Big Key, which is in Magic Bat, but we know the powder's in Library Ledge and we have the boots, so Thalane can get that at any point they want.
Yeah,
that's the only major divergence.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the one divergence we've had, and in theory, it's kind of a very small lead for Kyong, but nothing that's like substantial.
I guess at this point, though, we do have potential for a lead to open after this point, because now Kyong is, I guess, just slightly ahead as they're already done with the entire mountain. Thalane does have the checks on the... I guess the only thing, another divergence is the way they routed things. Kyong got into the front side of the two checks in the Torchlock Crystal Roller Room, the Torchlock Roller Room. That's what they really have over Thalane right now. We're going to see our only Titansmith lock location in the King's Tomb to find $20.
Yeah, unfortunately for Kyong, it was just a piece of heart, I think, and the Ether Medallion. So nothing of substantial value hiding out there.
Yeah, so I mean, both runners have missed a check, but they're not that great. I guess Kyong is just slightly ahead, but that could be changed with the coming dungeons because suddenly a lot of this seed has opened up to us after this this trip up and down the mountain.
Yep.
And now we can clear Mire. We can kill Landmolus. We can take care of the Helmasaur King. We can kill Ice Palace. Except for the big chest. There's just a lot of... So, depending on where things shake out, as far as items go, we're really just in key mode now.
Hey, small shield. But Kyong's like, hey, I don't need it.
I mean, really looking at it, but hold the phone on that, because Kyong, with that book in hand, we're going to get ourselves a pedestal check, and today we find out maximum health increased. Yeah! Pet is dead.
For dead. Unless someone really wants that maximum health increase, that heart container.
I sincerely doubt we're going to just purchase time. Meanwhile, Kyong is going to take care of Skull Woods, one of the other dungeons I neglected to mention. So, we're going to be clearing out some dungeons, and really, if you look at our inventories, we've got all the items we need to clear this seed, unless there's something on Bumper Ledge we haven't checked yet, or in Spike Cave. Those are two locations that are still logically locked by a certain item. But beyond that, we have all the items to clear, and maybe a fetch quest in there. But to clear dungeons, we've got all the items. We're looking for keys now. Alright, meanwhile, that's the end of Mothula. Blink and you look away from your screen for a moment, and down went the moth. Alright, we're going to start this long walk for this chest underneath the bridge. Let's see what we've got here. Meanwhile, thalane is going to finish their last bits of Death Mountain here. So right now, looking at it, Kyong is a back of Skull Woods, the head of thalane. And with this being all dungeons, there isn't a lot of... I don't see a lot of potential for wasted time. Unless someone manages to pull up a big key, which is like a fetch quest big key that is locking another big key. Or key with other keys. Key. Yeah, we're gonna get the Bombos tablet checked by Kyong. Must have forgotten the hint that there's cash behind a book. And there's our 50 bucks, as foretold by the hint tile goddesses. Making our way over to our very first check of the Desert Hermit. Aghanim, what you got? You know, thalane also into the mire area is going to go ahead and take care of finishing off Vitreous. And today our Desert Hermit has been hiding in our chest more blueberries.
Yep. Nothing really good in Aghanim's cave today, unfortunately.
Here we are in our second visit to Misery Mire. At this point, we're just going to head straight back to Vitreous. And check the big chest, of course. And right now we're getting our first check of the the checkerboard cave. Nothing going. 20 bucks out of the big chest here. And Kyong is going to go ahead and knock out Misery Mire as well. And I imagine after this, both our runners are probably going to make their way into Desert Palace, check the big chest and what's on the torch and the first chest, and then take care of the boss. Unfortunately, we have not found the small key, so we can't go to the right side quite yet. And at this point, alright, so taking inventory while we walk back to Vitreous, what is it? We're taking the inventory of what we're looking for right now.
Right.
Big things shouting out: the Eastern Palace big key, the small key for Swamp Palace are the two big ones, and the Turtle Rock big key.
Yes, those would be the those are the three kind of must-find things at this point. Now, if you're thalane, you've also got to find the powder, but we know where that is.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure he's checked libraries. We get some spooky action demonstrations by thalane. Fortunately, it looks like he transitioned just a little bit early on those stairs. It does not seem to be working for him anymore.
So it would be kind of weird if it just did it one time though, like spooky action glitch being extra spooky and not doing things as we expect.
All right, and Thalane going for some spin setups here. We do have the silver arrows, but we can't use them until we get to Ganon, unfortunately. Alright, and 8 sticks into the eyeball, and that's the end of Vitreous. And this will be the green pendant, as well as 20 bucks.
Yeah, it'd be very interesting to see if that green pendant turns into anything.
I imagine we will get a turn-in eventually, as we do have access to the Helmasaur King. But I imagine we're probably hoping to find the Eastern Palace Big Key before we make that call. Oh, and the few times you see the flute here, gives us access to the desert area via that portal. So that's something you honestly, the flute, even when you have it, you don't see it get used a whole lot. And in the meantime, on Thalane's side, let's take a look. It's in a book. We're in the Desert Palace. This Kyong's having a little issues with their mirror portal, as you do around water. And here we have both of our runners into Desert Palace now. You know, the only main gap that we're looking at right here is the Skull Woods clear done by Kyong, but that's a rather quick one done by Thalane. First chest here, 5 rupees.
I think really it could definitely shift one way or the other if there's a thing that Kyong really needs to check. Perhaps that there's some cache and mystery mire key requires a big red bomb, so we know it's in the Pyramid Fairy.
Not a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah, Thalane's still well within this race, even though got a dungeon check and an item grab behind. Small key to that dungeon, so there we go. We're at Desert Palace.
And that probably feels good for these runners, not knowing that they're not going to have to come back here eventually.
Yeah, you always like to get something clear and just get that big check off the board.
Because there's 2 item locations that are locked behind this small key. We get a plastic shield.
Well, we know where one of the other shield upgrades is.
And a piece of heart. Meh. But at this point, we're just in key mode. That's an interesting thought to be in. Meanwhile, Thalane's dashing their way through just a little bit ahead in this Desert Palace play, but does have Skullwoods to take care of at some point. Meanwhile, Thalane's going to head on back to take care of Landmawless. Go ahead and diving deeper, grabbing our key, walking the bridge. Feels good having the boots in here. Probably why you get them before you come here in vanilla. Nice use of the sword beams to get things out of the way. So it looks at this point, there's, I think, kind of like Chad pointed out, a rough location for the Palace small key could end up bringing this race a bit more even.
I think so, yeah. Just having that one location that needs that one key for Palace of Darkness, that could certainly play into how this shows up.
And I swear there was a Landmawless fight on the left side of your screen, and there's the final pod small key.
I was gonna say, or the game's just gonna, give it to them right now and make us look stupid.
Alright, so with that, the Helmasaur King is now fully in logic. Though they could have already cleared it.
So now where does Kyong go? Got the flute out, so gonna be looking to go to 4, maybe thinking, is this a Swamp Palace plan now?
Maybe. Looks like Kyong is gonna making their way towards the eastern area. I think this is a little bit faster to get to Pod via this direction. But nope, they're gonna swerve that, and they're going. Looks like they're going to Ice Palace, or to check the Hobo check they haven't checked yet. Hobo into
Interesting.
Pod, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Thalane grabs that nice spin speed. Looks like Thalane may be making their way towards Skullwoods. Also gonna knock out the Boots Lock locations here. Alright, making our way around to the other lock location. Meanwhile, Kyong is going to use their mirror and end up here in Ice Palace. Here we go. At this point, this is leaving the Ice Palace big chest behind, as we have not found the big key. As find out some cash requires the hammer. Thank you so much, game. Thalane gets nothing out of the King's Tomb, so those Titan Smiths, useless. Unless we get another reconfirmation of the map check. Kyong making quick work of the Pen Gators, and we find ourselves the Big Key to Swamp Palace. So that's one. That's one fetch quest off the board.
Yeah, that's one that you can go ahead and get right now and not have to worry about going back in second time. It looks like Thalane is going to go take care of the Skullwoods second half here.
And we do know the pedestal is unfortunately dead for those hoping for some fun in chat. Unfortunately, this is not an Agaped seed. Well, yes, it was all dungeons. Aga was required not just for the goal, but to give us more pod small keys so we could get the moon pearl out of the bottom. Nice setup there by Kyong. I really like that. A nice Palace bomb jump set up so quick if you blink you missed it. Alright, well, Kyong making quick work of Ice Palace, Thalane making quick work of Skull Woods. I'd imagine the small fight will go probably as quick as Kyong's did. Some decent fairy pickup there. On Kyong's side, meanwhile, Thalane into the date with the Moth. The Moth playing nice. That was fast. Oh, wow. So we get 3 blueberries for Kyong, heading into the vanilla big key location. Hammer dash through and find the small key for Ice Palace. Convenience?
So the nice thing now is that we kind of have a good idea of what the quote-unquote gap between these two is. Kong's about half a dungeon ahead in an item check.
We'll see where the lady decides to fly off to next? Looks like they're going to go ahead and take care of the Helmasaur King. And likely to turn in that green pendant as well, with that decision to go back into the light world, which I agree with. Meanwhile, in the iced tea room, we get a map to the Tower of Hera. And the green pendant is the small town, the big key to, the small key to Thieves' Town. So that gives us access to the big chest and a fetch quest.
Well, that could be something too. Could be one of the other big keys that we're looking for.
Well, we do have the big key for Thieves' Town, so it's not the biggest potential for. So it's something we will have to go back for. So it makes it not the most of a pain route. Meanwhile, we'll see if Cold Stare is holding on to anything of note. So far, Ice Palace being a whole lot of nothing. So if, like, what I could see here is if Thalane skips the Ice Palace play for now, they could look to potentially go mode it and save and get some of their time back.
That certainly would be a nice power play there, as well as the possibly go moding Swamp Palace.
Oh, wow. Look at that Cold Stare fight. Poking him into the corner, a play I have not seen before. Well done. Meanwhile, Thalane is going to go ahead and show off this bomb jump yet again. Just to get a swing a hammer jump our way to the big chest here in Pod. I really like that bomb jump now.
It's very, very inventive and thoughtful on how to do that.
So Thalane with that, but just a piece of heart there. So Thalane's going to go ahead and take care of the Helmasaur King. While Kyong, with that small key reminder, says, you know what? I guess it's time for Thieves' Town. Actually, they don't have the small key. They're in Thieves' Town without it. So if the big chest here has an item and Thalane grabs it, that could be time saved.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If you have to come back down here to get the big chest item in Thieves' Town, that's a tremendous time sink because you have to go all the way to the back and then go all the way down.
I mean, it could be potential for a last location at this point for Kyong. Alright, meanwhile, Thalane's going to make their way back toward the Helmasaur King, see what we have here in the Lightroom chest for Kyong. That's our final bottle of the seed. A well-executed Terrapin room there.
Absolutely. One of the nice things about this seed is that we've got so many of the items that we're really just seeing it come down to pure execution right now between these two. And they're both doing a really good job getting through each of these dungeons, clearing them out very quickly.
It's just really a masterclass of execution and like small little things. I mean, that the bomb jump there by Thalane in Pod he's used twice to. Honestly, that saved, I think, quite a bit of time at this point. But there's the Turtle Rock Big Key hanging out with the Maiden. And on the Helmasaur King's side, we've got $20, but more importantly, the other 5/6 crystal, which we're not going to make use of. So just quite a bit of just great execution to really show it off. I mean, Kyong just made absolute mincemeat of Cold Stare. A fight I have not seen executed that quickly. That was just a clinic, if you will. All right, so here we're gonna see a little bit of a moment of truth for Thalane when they make their way to the big chest here, which Kyong, having just finished Blind the Thief, did not have access to. So that's $20 from Blind the Thief and another crystal. So right now, the biggest thing, there's two things we're really looking for. The bigger one being the Swamp Palace Small Key, as it opens up just more locations than the Eastern Palace Big Key itself does, with the Turtle Rock Big Key having been found there in Thieves Town. Looks like Kyong making a visit to an oft-forgotten shop there for a red potion. And whatever that center item is that we couldn't see. What was that? Huh. Looks like with that big key, though, Kyong is deciding that they're going to go ahead over to Turtle Rock and take care of Trinex. Those asking in chat, yes, the winners from both divisions finals will face each other for your viewing pleasure.
Yep, that will be your grand final matchup.
And I'm excited for it. Four great teams. Speaking of which, do keep it locked in here, as we have a really hyped match later on today on Speed Gaming 4, which is Game 3 between these two teams, Yoshi versus Faraime. And then late night randomizer, 11:59 p.m. tonight. That's the big game between 4K Fourth and Forehead and the Titan Smiths. That's Active Ochre and SAGTG to decide who from the Lake Hylia division will continue. A lot of great stuff to be seen there, as Thalane finds that is massive. That's the Swamp Palace Small Key in the Big Chest of Thieves Town. That's just given Thalane a big breath of life in this race.
Oh my.
At that point, it's going to take Kyong potentially a very long time to find that. This is really a swing moment for this seed. I mean, it depends on if the Eastern Palace Big Key comes up somewhere, like in Swamp. I think at this point, Thalane should gun for Swamp, unless they really want to clear out some other locations. The Thieves Town Small Key was on the green pendant. It may take Kyong a while to get over there, and having already cleared through Thieves Town, it'll be a while to see if they're gonna gun for that. Meanwhile, Turtle Rock and Trinex are done, in case you blinked and you missed it.
Yeah, I think probably looking at what your options are. Maybe gonna get Turtle Rock instead here. Yeah, it looks like setting up for Turtle Rock maybe to start with, just getting the last.
Just quick knock out the boss, so you never have to come back to the mountain.
Right. But I would think probably with that Swamp Palace key opening up the dungeon, since Ice Palace is right next to it, go ahead and do that, after everything else is done. Just get this done and then go do Swamp Palace, and if you don't find it there, go to Ice Palace.
And right now, all we're looking for go mode is the Eastern Palace Big Key. We've got everything else we need to complete this seed except for the Eastern Palace Big Key. If that comes up in Swamp, that means a go mode Ice Palace for Thalane, and we're going to be potentially neck and neck depending on how long it takes Kyong to go back into Thieves Town with the small key from the green pendant turn in. And with that, we found out that Eastern Palace is the final pendant dungeon, though Pedestal is long dead. Now, Kyong had used 2 potions to get through the end of the Spike Cave just to be given a fetch quest. And I imagine Kyong is probably going to head straight to that turn-in. Thalane is heading over to their date with Trinex. Going for the back strats, as you would expect from a runner of this caliber. Really, really well executed there, and just shy of the 0 cycle. So at this point, I mean, chat bringing up a good point that Thalane still has to find the GT Big Key in Magic Bat. But if he remembers the hint that told him that the Big Key of Evil's Bane on someone friendly, he's already done all other NPCs on the map, even with that green pendant turn in. So Magic Bat is all that's left, and the Magic Powder is on Library Ledge.
Right. So one of the things too to keep in mind with that is it's not too difficult to get there. Even you can do it after you do all the dungeons.
Now that Flame's gonna go ahead, and they're gonna make their way to the Turtle Rock Big Chest. It looks like Kyong is going to make their way over and turn in that green pendant, get the small key for Thieves Town, and clear out the Palace of Darkness. Now then becomes a swing moment of when does Kyong decide to follow that chain of the small key? At this point, looking at their options there really isn't a whole lot left of locations left for Kyong. Since Swamp Palace is a final crystal, they're not gonna be able to dive the Ganon's tower looking for that small key.
And yeah, indeed, Thalane going and making the I guess you could call it the smart play, going into Swamp Palace. Now that that key's been revealed.
So depending on where this thing is, Kyong isn't gonna have too many locations left to pull them away from where this small key is. But at this point, it's just gonna give time back to Thalane. If the Eastern Palace Big Key turns up here in Ice Palace, that opens up for a go mode ice. If the Eastern Palace Big Key doesn't turn up here, that's probably going to give time back to Thalane, or give time back to Kyong. Unless, of course, the Eastern Palace Big Key is heading in Ganon's tower, in which case it's going to kind of leave it up to Kyong. So what the grand scheme of this really comes down to is, what is here in Swamp Palace? Starts us off with 20 bucks. The small key for Swamp Palace is in the Thieves Town Big Chest via the small Thieves Town small key on green pendant turn-in.
There we go. Getting a fire shield to start with. So, not a whole lot so far in Swamp Palace, but we got plenty of chests to check and plenty of locations to go to yet, so plenty to go ahead and poke around in.
With that shield, I mean, this seed, despite being hard mode inverted, has given us pretty much all the safeties except for the invulnerability items, which the blue cane is not one, but the cape is, but does do the double magic drain. We're sitting on a good amount of hearts, all things considered. Now, another scenario that just came to me that could potentially be a death knell for Thalane is if the Swamp Palace Big Chest is where the Eastern Palace Big Key is. I believe that Swamp Palace Big Key was in ice. So it looks like Thalane is gonna think about going left side first, realizes, oh wait, I need that small key from here.
And looking, maybe thinking, yeah, check the chest in the backyard, get the dungeon done, and worry about the rest.
Alright, meanwhile, Kyong has taken care of the Helmasaur King. Looking at just a mental check of locations, really, the Thieves Town Big Chest is the big thing that's calling out to them at this point. Because I've already checked the pedestal. Yeah, it looks like Kyong may be looking to check the first chest of Swamp Palace, just to see if it turns up there. And there we have a small key to Skull Woods. Not the key that Thalane is looking for. Right now, just the Eastern Palace big key. We know that first chest of Swamp is 20 rupees, so now what Kyong is looking for, they're gonna have to make their way over to the Thieves Town big chest to get that small key they're so desperately hoping to find here.
Indeed, and that's time just being ticked away here, letting Thalane get back in this.
Yeah, Kyong just a little bit of time ahead, but it really comes down to where is this Eastern Palace big key? At this point, it's looking like it's gonna have to be. If you're a Thalane fan, you need to come up here on Argus or on the 2 checks on the left side of Swamp. If you're hoping for Faraime to have that interview, it needs to come up either in the big chest of Swamp Palace or somewhere in Ganon's tower. In which case, that's just time. That's where Kyong can keep their minor time advantage from the earlier moments. Meanwhile, that is the end of Argus for Thalane. Not the big key, not what we're looking to find. Well, Kyong is going to go ahead and follow that Thieves Town small key and pick up the Swamp Palace small key. And with that, Thalane is deciding to disregard. And for those asking in chat, why do we say that Kyong is ahead? Well, Kyong is already taking care of Ice Palace. So now Thalane is now going to full clear Ice Palace, looking for the Eastern Palace big key and not find it.
Dude, we'll find that Swamp Palace big key.
Which will just be a fetch quest at this point for Thalane, so maybe Thalane heads back to Swamp after Ice. And that's 3 checks instead of just the 1. In the meantime, there is the Swamp Palace small key for Kyong, as Thalane gets their Swamp Palace big key. And Thalane does still need to find the Ganon's Tower big key, which at this point, if he's following his hit memory and his checks, knows it's on the magic bat, the powder being on the library ledge. So at this point, we're looking at the Swamp Palace, the Eastern Palace big key has to be. There's 3 checks left in in Swamp Palace and Ganon's Tower. Oh, and that's actually a hint there. I forgot that there was a left side swamp hint. So that feels good for Thalane, knowing that he's not going to be going back to left side swamp at this point. And in the meantime, Thalane gonna go ahead and clear their way through Ice Palace, Kyong clearing their way through Swamp, with, though I don't believe that Kyong actually read that hint for left side Swamp. I think Kyong decided to skip some of those hint tiles.
It's gonna be funny. What if I keep thinking Eastern Palace has got the big key for Eastern Palace has got to be somewhere within one of these big chests, I think.
Now, we have not found the Ice Palace big key yet. And that could be locking it, and that's largely at large, and that would be not fun for either of these runners. Alright, so Kyong is going to go ahead and grab the big chest here. 20 rupees. So that would have been our other mail upgrade, I believe. Because that was a green 20. We already know the 4th sword is on Uncle. I love that Uncle Assured sword that we never picked up. The main thing, and of course, for those asking, for those in the chat, yes, indeed, the Eastern Palace Big Key could be in Ganon's Tower. In fact, at this point, it has to be, unless it's, you know, locked behind a unless, of course, it's locked behind the Ice Palace Big Key we find in Ganon's Tower. Both runners have cleared through all of Eastern Palace except for what's in the back of what is locked behind the Big Key itself. One thing of note here is if Kyong decides to dive back in for left side swamp, that's time given back to Thalane, because Thalane will not go back there with the hint tile that they read in Ice Palace. And that's we're really at this point, it's the Eastern Palace Big Key or bust. And meanwhile, here comes the cold stare fight for Thalane as Kyong makes quick work of Argus, as we would expect. Just a piece of heart there. We'll see how Thalane goes getting these guys. Gets the poke strats, and unfortunately gets hit by the ice ball, so he loses a little bit of control here of the Argus of the cold stare fight.
Yeah, so it won't be as tidy, but it'll still be pretty quick.
And puff number 3 down. And Kyong is not going for the left side of Swamp. It looks like we've got a GT play on our hands. Alright, so with that, Kyong is into Ganon's Tower. And it looks like they're going to go straight up the ascent. Going for the... gauntlet, as opposed to it being in the basement. Meanwhile, Thalane is going to go ahead and pick up their Ganon's Tower Big Key now. They have to grab the magic powder from the library and then go to Magic Bat. So this is a little bit of time lost because of the decision to burn the mushroom. So right now we're looking at, if execution holds strong, this looks to be Kyong's race to lose. But there's still a lot of playing to be had here. And as Chet is pointing out, if the Big Key ends up being upstairs, up in the gauntlet, this just about puts the nail in Thalane's coffin for this race. Alright, making quick work of this gauntlet is Kyong92. Meanwhile, Thalane is about to be cursed with the Big Key of Evil's Bane. On the left side of your screen, Kyong continuing to clear up the tower ascent. Alright, so making their way out of the final ice room. Now we're into land mode 2. With that, Thalane is going to save and quit and be dropped into Ganon's Tower. So we'll see what Thalane elects to do, whether he runs straight into the top or starts diving the basement. It looks like Thalane is going to follow the same move as Kyong did, and he's now about 2/3 of the tower climb behind at this point. Honestly, though, I agree with this play. If the Eastern Palace Big Key comes up here, feels good. If not, well, you're going to have to go through the basement anyway. Now, what I would find curious is if the Ice Palace Big Key comes up here in the top of Ganon's tower, and that's where it's hidden.
That would be mean. That would be very mean. Ice Palace Big Key in the last chest before Aga, and then you have to go back to Ice Palace to get the Eastern Palace.
I mean, if you feel behind and you make that gamble and that comes up huge, that could be the race swinger, I feel. But we'll see here. So we finally get 2 checks. That's the Cane of Brian. Not so useful. That's a piece of heart. Moving on.
Got 2 more chests to check, and then we got everything in the basement.
Meanwhile, Thalane is going to head and clear their way through. As Kyong is making their way. That's another check that isn't what we're looking for. Now we're into the Moldorm 2 fight. Moldorm being a bully there. That's the second time that Moldorm has just not been kind to Kyong, but down they go. Alright, and what is in the final check here of the Tower Ascent? That's $50. It's basement or bust. And with that, we are off to our second required geometry test of this seed.
And Thalane's not too far behind, just about 2 floors at this point. And these 2 floors will go by pretty quick, so Kyong just working on execution now. Ooh. Couldn't tell if that was 2 that counted as 1 or if that was a triple. Nope, gets a double there.
Really good execution by Kyong. And that was indeed a triple. 3, 2, 1. That's the end of this geometry test.
Blast off.
Now, Kyong, remember, you have to... Don't drop into the pig. Go straight back up the door. It's kind of an interesting scenario with this inverted state being it drops you right back in front of the door to Ganon's tower. And we're heading back inside. Big pig, you're gonna have to wait. Now it really comes down to GT routing. It looks like we're gonna go ahead and start with a right side clear for Kyong, as Thalane is continuing their tower ascent. And it looks like there's the magic cape. And looks like now, with Kyong having checked the hope chest, is going left, despite the fact that he has small keys to continue right, if he had chosen to do so. $5 on Bob's torch. Bob lives for today. Small key get.
And we got 4 more to check over here.
Meanwhile, Kyong is heading into the left side. Number 2. 3, 4, more junk. There's a piece of hearts. And 10 sticks. Yes, they have check with potions.
Yes, not the best start right now for doing these checks. For Kyong, not finding it yet.
$20 in the double fire room. At this point, chat, this play is all that's left, unless the Ice Palace key is where it's at.
Thalane getting a 3-2-1 as well.
Well executed. Well, if this comes up right side, this could give Thalane a little bit of a window back into the seed. If he goes full right. But it's still going to be it's going to be closer than we anticipated. Unless, of course, Thalane follows the exact same routing that Kyong does. So if you're a Thalane fan and a Team Awesome fan, you want them to go right.
And if you're
if it comes up that side anyway, we have to see yet.
If you're a fan of hotly contested rando seeds in tournaments, you really want this to go to a Game 5, so you're going to cheer for one team now and cheer for the other team in the next race.
Alright, Bombos Medallion comes in. We're down to just a couple more checks here. Thalane is electing to start left side, perhaps a Dark Magician play. We will see.
I think this might just be a left side check overall.
And
Just be-
we will see they do have the small keys, so they can elect to go whatever route they want to at any given point. It looks like it is a full left clear. Kyong, remembering to check the big chest, gets just a piece of heart for their trouble. So at this point, it's looking to be... This looks to be Kyong's race to lose. Perhaps a Ganon fall or glitch in execution. Bob's chest checked now. 5 rupees, and now it's time for everyone's favorite performance. Harmos on ice! Getting a good setup on these ice Harmos now. Just an absolute clinic of execution being put on by Kyong92. And there we have 10 sticks, and 100 rupees. It's in Tile Room.
Oh boy.
After all that, the Eastern Palace Big Key is in Tile Room. Or actually, right side, excuse me. I got too excited.
It could be in Tile Room.
Yeah, it could be. It's just not guaranteed. I got ahead of myself. Let it be the correct to make me look good. Thalane is dashing their way through the left side. Nicely executed. 4 checks here. There it is. Maybe,
there it is.
Because it could have been Ice Palace.
No, Ice Palace, I think, is in Swamp Palace side.
Oh, duh. Reading. Reading is hard.
So there it is, indeed what they were looking for, and Kyong is in go mode. As in, go to Eastern Palace.
And we are having cleared through Ganon's Tower. Oh wait, this is all dungeons. We gotta take care of Eastern. So now it's just a second Armos Knights fight away from Kyong and dropping into their date with the Big Pig.
And it's unfortunate too, so if Thalane had committed to the full right clear, would have pulled ahead probably of Kyong going in Eastern Palace. So that certainly would have been, I think, probably enough just to maybe hold out for a win, but it's gonna be really tough now.
At this point, it's pretty much Kyong's race to lose. It would take a major glitch in execution to really give it up. But this is, I guess, just a small. Looking at a greater breakdown of this seed, looking at it as a whole, it's just small decisions ended up leaning this race more and more toward Kyong throughout the bulk of it.
And Thalane's gonna do the Tile Room check. Not a bad call to do it now rather than having to come back. It's not like a dumb idea, but it is gonna take a little bit more time now.
Just I guess really looking at where the time difference really led out, I'd say the start of it was just the Death Mountain play. Just the different ways that they routed up Death Mountain, coming up slightly faster for Kyong in the grand scheme of things. And with the runners sticking pretty much to each other's plays, there wasn't that much time for Thalane to make up throughout the greater scheme of the seed. And then that's not to say that the way Thalane did things was incorrect. In the grand scheme of things, just unfortunately incorrect for this particular seed. And such is the nature of Randomizer.
Yep, it's particularly cruel like that, but Thalane's about to get that big key. Gonna feel a little sad now.
Alright, and with that, Kyong has completed the final boss, and now all they have to do is save and quit, and they will be back to their date with the King of all Bacon. And with that, we're into the Ganon fight now for Kyong92 // I will defeat you. Oh, is that so, Ganon? I don't think so. Meanwhile, Kyong getting really good setups of the double spins here on Ganon, and now the poke strats. Tempered Sword, Blue Mail, all the hearts. This is just a matter of time rather than anything else, though. Kyong did get clipped by the fire bat and is kind of low on health. We'll have to be careful. Just remember to switch to their silver arrows. Here we are into the third phase here. Pretty kind teleports. And just as that happens, I curse it as usual. Alright, there's the final teleport. And final slash. Did you find the arrows in Death Mountain? You bet. Here you go, have 2 of them. Getting set up on the torch glitch, and this should be another double. That's the end of the Ganon's fight. The explosions are happening, and the fanfare is about to start. Just a 1x3 bridge is all that separates Kyong92 between now and another victory for Friday. We'll do an interview if we win, and another moment closer to the link to the Best Randomizer League Finals. And with that crossing, I can announce that Kyong92 has finished this race in first place with an official SRL time of 2 hours, 6 minutes, and 18 seconds. Get your GGs in chat. What a tight race.
And this one indeed was a 7000 series train. Next stop is Tokyo Station.
What a crazy seed that was. Well, Thalane, not to be discounted, on the left side of your screen is clearing out their Eastern Palace. Meanwhile, Thalane making quick work of this Armos Knights fight. Well, trying to, but they're just not cooperating with them, unfortunately. That's the end. One thing to take note, Thalane's down to 4 arrows right now. That's exactly as many as they need for Ganon.
Maybe he's just gonna think I'm a good enough shot. I don't need any more than 4.
And with that save and quit, they're heading off to the Ganon fight. Alright, with that, just go ahead and poking away Ganon here. Alright, here we are into phase 3, Thalane waiting for Ganon to stop teleporting. Gets the 3rd strike. Yeah, we get those towers, you bet. There you go, have at it. Did get the torch glitch set up, so now Thalane gets their final arrow in their quiver and the final arrow into Ganon. Get your GGs in chat for Thalane, just a 1x3 bridge, so that separates him and the finish of this seed. We're hoping to get these guys in an interview in just a moment, but Nihon Tiger, what are your thoughts on that seed as a whole?
Well, it was a little bit of a difficult seed as far as routing wise because things were just kind of all over the place. And then it did kind of get to a point where things locked in a little bit more and it was a little more linear. But it's kind of a seed that seemed to, I think I want to say it benefited if you gambled a little bit and made some logic, out of logic checks, like the magic mushroom, the fake powder, and doing a couple of small things here and there, and it really added up over time, just compounded more so than I think you would normally expect.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just minor little bits of execution, or just the way things routing really shook up to just small decisions end up causing a gap that really couldn't be overcome just
Yeah,
by following the same route.
that was the other thing I noticed too, is there wasn't really, for Thalane, there really wasn't an advantage, like a three, you can see it's like a 3 minute gap between Kyong and Thalane, but there wasn't really 3 minutes worth of time to pull back there toward the end, because everything was just so linear, and you were going to make those checks that you were going to make that made sense logically, but you would have had to make some significant gambles, like immediately going and doing right side and then not doing tile room to try and pull back some of that time. It's a gap, but it's not like a 10-15 minute gap where it's completely unrecoverable. It's just big enough where I feel Bungie, it's like you have to take some gambles to make it work, but you have to take the right ones, and you have no idea what they're going to be.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, we should be getting these guys in for. I think you just about nailed it. It's just the way things shook out. It's just small little things just add up and add up and add up. You wouldn't think,
Yep.
watching this race, that there was that much of a gap to be had, but
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it never was. Well, tile room didn't help. That added a little bit of extra time into it. But within logic, you can see where it could be. It was kind of a gamble, but it was a gamble. You're either going to lose the 30-40 seconds doing that, or you're going to gain that back significantly because you're assuming your opponent's not going to immediately go into tile room and do the tile room chest.
Despite the fact of how much I wanted to will that into existence by losing track of Ganon's tower checks. But with that, we have been joined in chat by the runners Kyong and Thalane. GG's to the both of you.
Hey, GG's.
Right.
GG's, guys. How you feeling after that?
Do you want to go first?
It was frustrating as hell to play. Oh my god. So many things went wrong there. So the only thing I could hope is that it would go wrong with the lane as well, because jeez, I lost so many minutes everywhere.
Yeah, I think it was really easy to lose time left and right in the seat. I felt like I did an average job, I would say, like not feeling too good about some decisions, but then again feeling very good about others, so it kind of like balanced out, I guess. So I was just hoping Kyong did like all the wrong decisions, but yeah. Apparently he did a couple more than I did, so at least I got that going, I guess.
But that goes to show. I mean, I think the real if you guys watch the run back of this VOD, I think the real swing moment was the variance in how you guys elected to route Death Mountain when you arrived. Just where Kyong dove Tower of Hera first, gave him access to the fire rod, which led him to clear through Turtle Rock a little bit faster. That was really where the difference really started to show itself. Was when Kyong was already in Skull Woods while you were finishing up the mountain. And just the way it's just that Death Mountain was just not fun to route at all, which I can't blame you for. Was anything really in the seed convenient?
I mean, it could have been convenient if you like made the right choices, I guess. Like, go to Catfish before you go to Pod, and then go all the way to the back to get your Moonpearl, like, immediately. That, like, I was thinking about that so hard. I thought, yo, Kyong, like, most likely did Catfish before he went to Pod, so he's gonna have the Moonpearl, right? And I'm, like, here bunnying around in, like, Misery Maya and, like, Kakariko, doing random stuff while he's, like, enjoying life. That's what I thought. And
I ended up going to pod first because I thought you would go to pod first as well.
Yeah, see, usually I would check Catfish, but I thought, you know, that you're my opponent, so I might have to like skip a corner here and there and like just hope that I can route Catfish later on with the mirror, but yeah. Guess I should have just stick to what I usually do.
but that's kind of an interesting little point of the thing. You look at the grand scheme of logic of the seed. This seed expected you to do Aghanim just to get more pod small keys to get the Moon Pearl in the back of pod.
Yeah.
How often is that a situation you're going to find yourself in?
Probably not. Not as often.
That was super. I wasn't feeling too bad when I got the catfish key. Obviously, it was much worse when I discovered where Pearl was, but because of how all those items are locked behind 3 pod keys, I was. What are the odds? What are the odds that pod keys are what we really need here? So.
Yeah, like I was just thinking, okay, that's 1 pod key. I mean, that doesn't like unlock anything that I haven't done yet, so it's whatever, right? And then like I think Misery Maya had like another one, and there was like 2 more in Kakariko, and I was like, okay, maybe I should go over to pod very soon here. Yeah, and then obviously it wasn't that like very back. I think this was like also the only place where the Moopa could have been in that case. I don't know exactly, but. Like you can waste a lot of pod keys.
I don't think. Well, not sure actually.
It was. There really wasn't much else for the boot at that point for the Moon Pearl to go through. Meanwhile, we're gonna spin our way towards the rest of the day. Coming up here in just under an hour on Speed Gaming 4 is the game, technically 3rd game between your 2 teams. And that'll be Faraime versus Yoshi. Thalane, do you think the addition of the Yoshi sprite is going to give Yoshi enough of an advantage over Faraime?
I mean, I definitely hope so. I don't know if that's going to be enough. Like, he told me earlier that he's playing really bad lately, so we'll see how that goes. I mean, if we win, that's going to be really cool, because then it's going to be a game 5, which is super hype, I guess. Especially since the other team, like all 3 guys are friends of mine, so it's really cool. And yeah, if we don't win, it's fine either. Like it's fine either way, right? I did not expect us to come that far anyway, so this is already like a huge win for us.
Right, and Kyong, how do you feel for that that game 3 to potentially decide it for your team?
Oh, we'll see, because at the end of the day, Forum is gonna decide everything, because he's gonna play the game 5 as well, so... plus RNG, I guess.
Right, and plus RNG, and hope that he doesn't throw it, because he doesn't want to do an interview.
I'm excited for the potential of the interview. I'm also really excited for potential for a game 5, because it's going to be a lot of fun to see. I don't want to. I mean, if you don't want to, Flame, do you guys know who would play a potential game 5?
It's gonna be Hitzeon versus Furemi, I think.
Yeah,
Ooh,
should
that's-
be tomorrow evening, I think.
I think they even extended the deadline until Monday, if I remember correctly. So it's probably tomorrow night, or maybe like Monday, very early-ish.
Well, we'll see if that's even necessary. So keep it locked onto the Speed Gaming network of channels on Speed Gaming 4 at 6 p.m. Eastern. So in just about 40 minutes, we will have that key race for you all. We're going to go ahead and turn us on toward the end of this broadcast. I want to thank Kyong and Thalane for joining us in this interview and putting on an excellent race for us. If you haven't already given them a follow, I'll give you guys one last comment before we sign off, starting with you, Kyong.
Just thanks for the restream, and well, stay tuned for the 4th race, I guess.
And Thalane?
Yeah, I just support what Kyung just said, and also thanks Bonta for obvious reasons.
Please, Bonta.
All right, and with that, we'll go ahead and sign off. So the main thing to keep an eye on is that Speed Gaming 4 race. Also at 11:59 Eastern is Game 5 between 4K 4th and Forehead and the Titans Mitts. That is Activoker versus SAGTG. Sabotator and Shireen will be on the call for that. It'll be a lot of fun. That's all dungeons, hard inverted, swordless Randomizer. Oh my, that looks awful. I am glad I am watching that instead of playing it. Also looking at speedgaming.org/schedule. If you're looking for something to fill some time before we get there, Final Fantasy 1 Randomizer Spring is going on Speed Gaming 3 right now. After the Speed Gaming 4 race on the main channel there's a Super Metroid crowd control race. On Speed Gaming 2, there is Final Fantasy Randomizer, and an Overworld Glitches race tonight at, what is that? 8 p.m. Eastern or 9 p.m. Eastern on the Speed Gaming 5. This channel here, there's Overworld Glitches, Pac-Man World 2 Grand Finals tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern, and more Overworld Glitches. The Grand Finals being on the main channel. So there's also some Portal 2, Super Metroid Weekly, and that, of course, that big match at the end of the night to see who these two teams will be playing in that final. That should be sometime next week. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you, Nihon Tiger. Got a comment before we send it off into that good night?
Well, just remember, someone out there loves you. We love you too. It's going to be a fun day of races today, so stay tuned for more. And, yep, good luck to everybody who's racing in the next race. Catch you later, everyone.
All right, thank you all so much for watching. As always, follow those Speed Gaming Network channels at Speed Gaming and Speed Gaming 2 through 6. Check out the ALTTPR League channels for further action later on. I doubt we're going to see those channels active too much longer. For the rest of this tournament, should be the rest on Speed Gaming. I'm excited to bring this all to you. Hopefully, we'll see you all soon. Thank you all so much for watching. Good night.